Hello class 10s. Now we've come to the 19th chapter of your textbook. Okay, now in this chapter I'm going to deal with industries. Okay, industries, and the first category, okay, the first industry that we are going to deal with is the agro-based industry. Okay, now before I start with the agro-based industry, I just want you all to give you the importance and general introduction about how important industry plays in our country. Okay. Now you already know that India is an agricultural country. Okay, the economy is totally depending on agriculture. Agriculture, in other words, you can say agriculture plays a very important role in the economic development of our country. Okay, but beside agriculture, another sector which equally plays a very important role is the industry. Okay, and today you know India is the 10th industrialized country in the world. Rapid industrialization has taken place in India. Okay, and there are reasons behind, okay, what has helped industry also to flourish in our country. Now you know industry is equally important in India like agriculture, because it's not only contributing to the economy of our country, but it's also supporting, you know, millions of people, okay, by providing employment opportunities. And today, you know, since India is self-reliant, okay, has their own industries. Today we don't have to depend much on other countries in the world. Okay, in the earlier times, for everything, almost everything, you know, we had to import it from other countries in the world, where we had to pay a large amount of money. But today, take it for nuclear, take it for any sector of industries, you know, India has its own industries. So manufacturing is taking place in India itself only, so it is benefiting a lot. Okay. So first thing that you have to remember is industrialization in India. How industrialization plays. Industrialization means development of industries. Okay. So when more and more of industry, in a simple word, meaning of industrialization is, you know, when more and more of industries come up, or industrial clusters takes place. Okay, that is called industrialization. And when more and more of industries come up, or clusters of industries are being present, it rapidly leads to urbanization. So industrialization and urbanization, two important words which plays a very significant role. Okay, because without industrialization, urbanization is not going to take place. And when you're talking about urbanization, urbanization is important. Okay, when we are talking about urbanization, what we have to remember is that it is urbanization which is helping in the development of our country. Okay, so whether a country is economically developed, or it's not been developed, or it's being a developing nation, the number of industries, or the urbanization, this rate, the scale in which the urbanization is taking place, helps us to know the economic standard of our country, or whether we fall in a developed category, underdeveloped category, or a developing category. Okay, so keeping this in mind, industry is playing a very important role. Industrialization in India has taken place in the last last 30 to 40 years. Okay, when after independence, you know, when the first 5-year plans took place, you know, the government gave equal importance to agriculture and industries, but during the first 5-year plans, much more importance was being given to agriculture. But from the second 5-year plan, still date today, there is no looking back in the field of agriculture, as well as there is no looking back in the field of industries. So this is how rapid industrialization has taken place. Okay, so the first paragraph in your textbook just tells you the importance of rapid industrialization in India. So just underline few sentences here, like India has been a significant progress in industrial development. It is the top 10 industrialized country in the world. Okay, and the reason behind is because of its vast and diversified natural resources. The large laborers are providing labor facilities. Okay, and India also has a huge market for the manufacturing goods. Okay, and modern industries manufacturing almost all kinds of goods has also been set up. Self-reliance, India has self-reliance Okay, so therefore we don't have to depend on other countries in the world. So these are some of the reasons behind why industrialization is there in India. Okay, now more than this, what you have to remember is that why do you think so rapid industrialization is required in our country? Okay, the first important thing, rapid industrialization is required in our country. The first important thing is you have to remember that India is predominantly an agricultural country where 60 to 70% of the people are depending on agriculture. But remaining population has to depend on other economic activities. So industries are providing them with that opportunity. Okay, so today people don't have to depend only on agriculture for the livelihood. People are also depending on industries for the livelihood. Okay, another important reasons for rapid industrialization in our country is that we are talking about agriculture. Okay, but of course agriculture is playing a very important role, but agricultural commodities, okay, which comes raw from the fields without being processed in an industries are of no use. So industries are becoming a strength of agriculture. It is acting as a backbone for agriculture. So this is how, or in other words, industries are supporting agriculture. So it is necessary for industries to be set up in our country. Okay. The other one is industries also produce goods and equipment that has been required for defense purposes. Okay, and so there are a large number of industries that we have in our country, which is manufacturing, defensive equipments. So we don't have to depend on other countries in the world. Okay, so that is also another important thing. Now another one is there's a tough competition. Today's economy is the fastest moving economy. Okay, so there is always a competition. There's always a fast moving world. Okay, so in order to keep pace with this fast moving world, new technologies have to come up, new advanced technologies, and that has to come up. So in order to keep pace with this, industries are being developed in our country. Okay. Another important thing for industrialization is that if there is a rapid industrialization, then self-reliance will be there. That means the country don't have to depend on other countries in the world. Okay. Another important thing is that it maintains. In fact, this is a very important point, that rapid industrialization is important. Okay, because it maintains a balance of trade. Balance of trade is that it brings about equal balance between the imports and exports of a country. Okay, so these are the reasons. At least remember 3 points. These are the reasons why rapid industrialization is a must in a country like India. Okay, now we come to the next important factor, that is important point, that is factors that affects location of an industries. Okay, now let me generally first explain it to you all, and then I'll come point wise. Okay, so when you're talking about industrialization in a particular country, industrialization in a particular place and all that, now industrialization, as I've already mentioned, is setting up of an industries. Okay, so when you are setting up of an industries, or it's not one industry or two industries, but you have clusters of industries. Okay, group of industries that is being present in a particular place or a particular region is called clusters. Okay, so this clusters of industries plays a very, very important role. Okay, now to set up these clusters of industries or to set up these industries, okay, there are several factors that has been required. Okay, which is totally influencing the development of an industry. Like for example, if a person wants to set up a cotton textile industries, okay, now to set up a cotton textile industries, there are so many things that has been required. Like for example, they require raw material. So to bring raw cotton, which is very important, okay, so industries has to be set up very close to an area where there is cotton growing, where cotton is being grown, or the easy availability of cotton is being present. Okay, so raw material easily available. Okay, second is there should be a good network of transport system. Like this, market should be there. Whatever goods are being manufactured, it should be easily sold in the market. Power. Okay, water facilities. Like this, there are so many factors that has been required. So these factors plays a very, very important role in in industrialization, in setting up of an industries. So when you're talking about this factors that affects the location of industry, we are talking about the geographical factor and the commercial factor. Sometimes geographical factors or non-geographical factors, sometimes physical factors, economic factors, that is also the term that has been used, or geographical factors or commercial factors. Okay. Now let me start with the geographical factors. Now when I start with the geographical factors, the first thing that you have to remember is the raw materials. Okay. To set up any industry, the first important factor that has been required is the availability of raw materials. Like for example, as I have already mentioned, and I have given an example, if you want to set up a cotton textile industry, you have to think about setting up of an industry in an area where cotton is being grown in plenty. Like for example, if you want to set up a cotton textile industry in Kalimpong, okay, now you have money, you have land, you have laborers, but if you don't have raw materials, you'll not be able to make maximum profit. Because if you want to set up an industry out here in Kalimpong, to get the raw materials, you have to go to Maharashtra or Gujarat, because these are the two important states where the crop is being grown. Okay, so to get the raw material from these states and to manufacture out here, it's going to be very, very expensive. So the final cost of production for a cotton good is going to be very high. So if it's very high, the demand is not going to be there. Okay, so you have to set up an industry in an area where the raw materials are easily available. That's one of the reasons behind why cotton textile industries are mostly being found in two important states of our country, and that is Maharashtra and Gujarat. Okay. So this is how the raw materials plays a very, very important role. Another very important factor is the water supply. Okay, each and every industry that is being set up requires water directly or indirectly. Okay, now there are some industry which totally depends on water, like industries which is manufacturing, food processing industries, like industry which processes squash and any other products where water plays a very important role, okay, which is called the food processing industries. Now these industries require plenty of water. Okay, so an industry has to be set up in an area where easy availability of water is required. Like having said that, now other industries also require water. Like for example, we talk about iron and steel industry. Now iron and steel industry also has to be set up beside the availability of raw iron ore and coal and other raw materials that has been required for setting up of a iron and steel industry. It also has to be set up in an area where there is easy availability of water. Now why easy availability of water is because when the entire process of manufacturing of this iron and steel is taking places, it heats the pipes and all that. Okay, those liquid that is being passing through and all that, it's get heated up. So in order to cool it, water is being required in plenty. So this is how one is direct uses, like food processing industries and all that. Okay, manufacturing squashes and juices and all that. Okay, tinned food and all, which requires water directly. Okay, and indirectly is iron and steel industries, which is also requiring water. So easy supply of water should be there. Okay, next is the most important factor, energy, that is the power supply. Without any power supply, industries cannot flourish. So power supply may be from electricity. Industries may be depending on electricity. Okay, industries are depending on coal. Okay, industries are depending on thermal electricity, like by burning coal, petroleum and all that. So these energies plays a very, very important role. And that's one of the reasons behind why you find largest concentration of industries, okay, in the Chotanagpur Plateau region or the Damodar Valley areas. And the reason behind is because this is an area where you find huge deposits of coal and all that. Okay, so energy is also playing a very, very important role. And if you go to the southern regions of our country, like in states like Karnataka and all, industries are being present over there. But these industries are mostly making use of, electricity. More than coal, they are making use of electricity because it's cheaper for them. To get electricity is cheaper than to buy coal and other raw materials from other places. Okay, so this is also a very important factor. Another one is transport. There should be a good network of transport system. Like for example, if you're talking about sugar industries, okay, sugar industries, like sugar industry should be very close to a sugarcane field. Okay, now sugar is a very bulky commodity. Okay, after it's been cut, and it's perishable also. After it's been cut, within 24 hours to 48 hours, it has to be taken to the mills. Why? Is because if it's not been taken within this period of time, the sucrose content in the stems decreases. Okay, that is one of the reasons. Therefore, good network of transfer system should be there. Another thing is it's a bulky commodity. Okay, it cannot be carried by human laborers. So it has to have a good network of transport system. So any products, either it's a raw material that goes to an industry for manufacturing, or any product which is being manufactured from an industry goes to different centers to be, to be sold and all that, requires a good network of transport system. And transport may be through roads, through railways, okay, and in certain areas it may be through waterways. So waterways may be cheaper, inland waterways may be much cheaper. Okay. Next is labor. Industries can be set up in an area where cheap supply of laborers are easily available. Okay, so that they don't have to depend on, they don't have to pay a huge amount of money. So any places where the laborers are easily available, you have industries being present. Another very important factor is the market. Market plays a very important role. Market means demand. Like for example, if a cotton textile industry is being set up in any parts of the country, demand is there throughout the year. But if a woolen textile industry is being set up in any part of the country, demand is not very, very high, because most parts of India do not experience winters. So demand for woolen garments are not there. So woolen textile industry has to be present in an area where demand is very, very high. Especially it can be set up in the northern regions of our country, the Himalayan areas or the northern part of our country, because these are the regions in our country which experiences severe winters. And finally, another important factor that comes under the geographical factor for setting up of an industry is climate. And climate plays a very, very important role. And when I talk about the climate, it's not only because it helps human laborers to work on the industries and all that, but climate plays a very important role. The reason behind it is because there are certain crops which totally depends on the climates. Like for example, cotton textile, again coming to the cotton textile industry, it has to be set up in an area where the climatic conditions are humid. Why climatic conditions are humid is because when a cotton fiber has been taken out and has been made into a thread, a lint, okay, a thread, okay, the climate has to be humid. Otherwise, what happens is the thread tends to break. So if the thread keeps on breaking, you'll not be able to make threads. Okay, so climatic conditions has to be hot and humid. So this is how climate is playing a very, very important role. Okay, so these are the geographical factors that affects a location of an industry. Okay, with this I'll conclude this class. In the next class I'm going to start with the commercial factors or non-geographical factors, and I hope you have understood. Now please go through those points which I have explained it to you right now. Okay, thank you.